Now, in the spirit of Christmas, for which is very much the season of perennially rerunning the adventures of the life advice, Pez dispensing, and toned down saw booby trap aficionado known as Kevin McAllister, I thought it would make a small defense essentially for the third entry in the series, known by its bland name of Home Alone 3. This entry seldom gets any attention and is usually treated with the same dismissal as the fourth entry in the series, for which I fully admit that I have no love for either. That being said, I do feel that Home Alone 3 very much gets an undeserved bad rap too much of the time, and I have therefore taken it upon myself to hopefully give the movie some well worth redeeming remarks, as well as pointing out some small instances for which I feel are an improvement on the original. What I, however, will not do is to go as far as famed movie critic of Roger Ebert and claim that Home Alone 3 outperforms and thus is better than the first entry in the franchise. I therefore state at the get go that I do not find the third entry to be a better film than the original, but that doesn't mean that it's not worth watching, especially if you are interested in the franchise as a whole. It certainly offers a fresh breeze of air compared to the previous film of Home Alone 2, which manages to come off as a hazy, uninspired parody of the first film, where the increasingly cavalier attitude of Kevin offering up fortune cookie lifestyle advice to New York's favorite pigeon recluse lady is all a bit too labored for me to handle. On initial viewing, what immediately sticks out is the wonderfully polished special effects gadgetry, which takes its place in the form of booby traps meant for this installment's cast of mischievous villains, who have taken it up upon themselves to place an advanced piece of military hardware inside that of a toy car in order to pass through airport security. No doubt, since we all know that passing through an airport security screen with a military computer chip at hand is automatically distinguished from any bland looking computer assortment and can under no circumstances be discreetly hidden inside that of a laptop. Among the inventive traps, we find a clever mechanical punching arm, making any man's groin a living hell, a mean electric fence, and a hilarious lawnmower, to name a few, plowing away at the head of one of the villains, which reminds me of that gore fest of a film, Braindead, directed by none other than Lord of the Rings' very own Peter Jackson. I have to admit, however, that the most memorable gem in this movie is that of a tiny red remote controlled car, which, alongside Hollywood's usual suspension of reality and in conjunction with a massive dose of Hollywood action flair, delivers to give a most satisfying car chase scene. This strikes me as rather ingenious as one utilizes the usual getaway car trope, but however, here the car in question is that of a fragile children's car. Oh, if only they had recreated the car chase scene in the movie The French Connection with that of a remote controlled car. That would have been really something. The prominent set piece of the tarantula in the first movie has in this movie been replaced with that of a coy parrot, and although those arachnophobia prone viewers will not get their fix of horror from this installment, the parrot offers a lot more in terms of silly enjoyment than that of its uninspiring, spiritless owner who takes the role of Alex's older brother in the film, where the antagonistic, bullying relationship dynamic of Kevin and Bus made for marvelous comedy in the original installment. Alex's siblings, on the other hand, are as interesting as mold on a murky wall. This includes Alex's sister, played here by a very young Scarlett Johansson, making her debut in a very phoned it in performance, I have to say. But hey, it's Scarlett Johansson at least. Substantially better is the performance of the old lady in the film, referred to as Mrs. Hess, who plays here one of those impossible to please type characters who, as always in these Hollywood formulaic personality developments, has an included arc where she comes across as way more congenial by the last portion of the film. I should note here that although the main protagonist of Alex, here played by the same first name actor, Alex Lins, does not exude near any of the same charisma and charm of that of Kevin McAllister, nor does he embody the same assertiveness in acting as that of the former, he nonetheless delivers believability in terms of performance, I must say. What I feel the movie tries to achieve then is less of a homage to the comedic gallery most embodied by the burglar duo of the first film, and more of an attempt at exerting serious undertones and a more professionalized set of perpetrators. This elevated seriousness then works in its favor as it succeeds in raising the stakes for the main character of Alex. This is best exemplified near the end of the film, when the neighbor is taken hostage, and there is a real sense of tension as she's stowed away in the freezing garage that otherwise would not have been present in a more overt comedic atmosphere. This last bit is in no doubt in small part to the performance given here by Oleg Krupa, who plays the main villain of Peter, who gives quite memorable acting throughout, playing into the trope of the serious Russian stoic stereotype. The other gang of villains, with the inclusion of a woman, all deliver satisfying performances throughout, with especially added comedic refinements coming from the opposing duo of Unger and Jernigan. It also helps that the villains are themselves enveloped in tech gadgetry such as computer surveillance, walkie talkies, and surveillance vehicles, as it furthers the image of Alex countering a major underground criminal network, thus giving rise to the psychologically satisfying aspect of escapism, where mental diversions is diverted from a snowy, mundane Chicago neighborhood of America's slice of suburban middle class life. There is also a double play on the activity of surveillance, as Alex is engaged in the same activity at the start of the film, where we see him eyeing his neighbor and changing her TV channels to comedic effect. There is a strong pedigree of incorporating this surveillance or voyeur like behavior of protagonists in the films of Hollywood, perhaps most notoriously exemplified with Hitchcock's classic film Rear Window from 1954. This no doubt has something to do with making a comment on the audience members themselves, who are in the same way engaged in a type of voyeurism where the celluloid medium becomes an infinite canvas of naked stories waiting to be told. We should not forget here that the quality of the film owes much in terms of having on board, like the two previous entries, the stellar writing of John Hughes, who is forever tied with the high school masterpiece drama constituting The Breakfast Club from 1985. John Hughes was a sort of raw talent that, as emphasized by many other critics, had the unique ability of constructing films that felt like his own, even though they were directed by other hands. There is also, in my opinion, a sort of thematic age focus present in his filmography, where he tries throughout his film writing to essentialize the experiences of the various age groups, starting from high school with the films of 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, to young adulthood and She's Having a Baby, and ending with the childlike experiences in movies such as Home Alone and Dennis the Menace. Anyways, getting back to topic, the writing of John Hughes automatically places Home Alone 3 into the interesting category in terms of fun, lighthearted, silly, but nonetheless engaging dialogue, and it's also clear at this juncture that the movie should have a higher degree of separation from the horrid sequel of Home Alone 4. Dare we even mention Home Alone, the holiday heist? As a final note, we might summarize the aspects where the movie does well, as in employing cooler gadgets, traps, and having parts containing some more satisfying stylization elements than the first film, while some have remarked negatively on the fact that the movie does not specifically take place on Christmas. I see this as a strength, as the movie then more generally lends itself to a stark and icy winter feeling which can be enjoyed in more parts of the year. The main protagonist, although weaker than that of Kevin McAllister, is very much successful in creating a sense of childlike escapism and manages to be a formidable opponent in the setting of the film, where we have graduated from wet bandits to that of international arms dealers. In total, then, I hope to inspire some more positive dialogue around the film, which is currently attached to a, in my opinion, much too dismal IMDb score of 4.5.